Beyblade X's Metal Fight future could be upon us. With Season 1 of Beyblade X quickly coming to a close with its last several episodes, it's time to look towards the future and see what the major gimmick for Season 2 could be. And that gimmick may be some of the most well-known and well-loved Beyblades of all time making a return. So hit that like button, hit subscribe to join the Nook Nation, and let's move on to Beyblade X's Metal Fight future. Before we speculate on what's to come, let's look at the facts of what we have now. First off, the Bakutin-inspired bays. Starting with Cobalt Drake, we got our first ever Bakutin-inspired design. The connection was a little bit weak. It was a Dragon Beyblade with a 4-bladed design like the original Dragoon, but it had a small Bakutin Shoot logo baked into the art of Drake, all but confirming the actual link. Fast forward several months and we get another Bakutin-inspired bay with Vice Tiger. This one was a bit more of an obvious connection with Drigger than Drake was with Dragoon, in my opinion, but it also had the Bakutin logo. That leads us to our potentially final Gen 1 revamps with Black Shell being Drasil, and the most obvious callback of all time, Cobalt Dragoon. All of these bays belonged to bladers on Team Pendragon, which while they aren't villains, like they're not evil, they are the antagonists as they stand in the way of our main character's goals of reaching the top of the X Tower. Getting obvious callbacks to the very first generation of Beyblade is awesome, especially during the year of Beyblade's 25th anniversary, along with the crossover remakes. But it didn't end there. This brings us to our most recent bit of news, which is the reveal of the first MFB-inspired design in AERO Pegasus. AERO Pegasus, while not confirmed, looks to be replacing Cobalt Drake in the Japanese Beyblade X app as the rare Bay Get, meaning it's going to be nearly impossible to get unless you somehow have the app and get really lucky, or potentially pay close to $200 for it online. This gacha system is a complete L in my opinion, and I'm glad that Hasbro did not bring that over. So what we can now speculate on is what this move actually means. Is it just Takara Tomy throwing a bone to the Metal Fight fans? Or could this be telling us the future of X in Season 2? This video is about the Metal Fight future of Beyblade X, but if you want to get some current X releases, go and check out sponsor the channel Mall of Toys. They have Tyranno Beat, Shinobi Shadow, Dran Buster up for sale, and they're still doing pre-orders for the first left spin bay in Cobalt Dragoon that's going to be coming out in like a week. So link in the description down below and use code ilinnuc to get 5% off. With Season 1 of the anime coming to a close in a couple of months, and the manga seemingly right about to wrap up the Season 1 arc, what's next? If we go based off of previous generations, then that next step after this X Tower arc would be a world tournament. Maybe the top bladers from this season would be selected to go represent Xenon City or even Japan in the world stage. Metal Fight had this with Season 2 or Metal Masters, Burst had this sort of thing with Beyblade Burst God, and that's how we got introduced to Free for the first time. So this seems like a pretty logical next step. I do have to give some credit here. This world tournament idea was not my own, so I gotta shout out Blade Bay X, but it is a pretty rational and logical foundation for the next season. Going back to the Bakutin bays and the new AERO Pegasus, this could actually be the beginning of a pattern. Right at the beginning of Season 1, we got Cobalt Drake on the Beyblade X app, the first Bakutin-inspired bay that also didn't really appear in the anime that much. And later on in the season, the antagonist group was revealed to be all using Gen 1 style bays like Vice Tiger, Black Shell, and Cobalt Dragoon. If Season 2 has this same structure, that means that AERO Pegasus is the first Metal Fight inspired design potentially used by a super strong character or even the primary antagonist of the season, but it may not actually appear in the anime that often. Then, late in the season, we get a few more Metal Fight inspired bays before an evolved and more detailed Pegasus. There's also the name scheme. The inspired bays always have the motif at the end, like Vice Tiger, Cobalt Dragoon, while the standard bays have it at the beginning, like Dran Buster and Phoenix Wing. This may seem like a bit of a stretch, and really this is all just speculation anyways, but it would make sense based off of what we've seen already. To go even further, Season 3 could be a full-on Burst-inspired season, with designs like Valkyrie, Spriggan, and even Longinus. Takara Tomy giving us AERO Pegasus really makes me think we'll see more. I don't think this is just a one-off random gift. I think it's really pointing us to the future of Beyblade X in general. So now let's look at the Beyblades we could potentially get from this Metal Fight inspired season. First off, looking back at that AERO Pegasus reveal, because the news has been out for a little while now, people have been kind of connecting dots and noticing some references. First of all, there is the gear motif. In the background, we can see what looks to be a hexagon shape. It's pretty masked by the Pegasus design, but that could be a reference to the Metal Fight face bolts. Next up, there's the white prongs. This may be a bit of a weak connection, but I think this matches the pre-hybrid wheel bays with how the outer wheel connects to the inner portion where the face bolt is. X has 3 prongs compared to Metal Fight's 2, but I think the shape and the whole design is rather similar. Last is the blade design. In my and many other people's opinion, the shaping and even some of the details is most similar to the original BB-01 Pegasus, even down to the little divots on the wings. With all of this being said, I think X is most likely heavily referencing the original metal system as opposed to the hybrid wheel series. This would make the most sense, as these would probably be the easiest to adapt, but also it would give them the most freedom. The biggest issue with Metal Fight designs post-hybrid wheel system is that because we had metal wheels and energy rings, everything had to be cross-compatible. Some bays like El Drago broke this rule, but generally, everything got really circular to fit all of the energy rings. If we go back to that original metal system though, the shapes were much more creative. So after Pegasus, what is the next Metal Fight bay that they could adapt? The first one I would want to see would be Bull. The original Bull was a balance type, but it had a really aggressive and unique shape compared to Dark Bull in Season 1, which was a lot more round. So an X version named like Charging Bull or Stampede Bull would be pretty awesome. Next, we have Leon. To be honest, I don't know if we'll get a Leon. We already have a Leon, and with Leon Crest being a defense type, I feel like it would be too confusing, maybe? Leon seems like it would be an obvious pick, but so did Dronzer, and yet we don't have an actual Dronzer-inspired bay yet. Next up, we have bays like Sagittario and Earth Eagle. Sagittario has a really cool metal system design with the bow and arrow idea, but could it be too similar to Wizard Arrow already? Earth Eagle is also one I would really want to see in the X format. While it was introduced in the hybrid wheel system, I still think it would be a really good defense type, and we don't have an eagle motif yet in X, so I really think this will be included here. I really don't care about bays like Capricorn and Wolf, so those can probably be skipped, but one we cannot skip is El Drago. El Drago is easily one of, if not the most popular evolution line in Beyblade history. If we're getting a Pegasus, which we are, then we have to get an El Drago as well. We'll probably get a Lightning El Drago remake pretty soon, but to have an X design based off of the metal system El Drago would be insane. The design seems like it would fit really well in the system already. It's a 3-bladed shape, and everyone would go nuts for an El Drago inspired bay. With a name like Bolt Drago or something, Takara Tomy just has to remake this Beyblade. Takara Tomy has a big opportunity here to bring back some of the most loyal Beyblade fans in existence. For some reason, Metal Fight fans are just the most vocal about their generation being the best and just straight up simping for Ryuga. And I think that Takara Tomy understands that. AERO Pegasus is just the start, and a World Tournament arc combined with full Metal Fight Beyblade revamps, we could be looking at one of the greatest years in Beyblade history. So what do you think of this potential gimmick for Season 2? Definitely quite a lot of speculation in this video, but it's interesting that we're getting AERO Pegasus. We're getting what looks to be a Metal Fight reference in the actual gear chip motif. So do you guys think we'll see some other Metal Fight bays like El Drago, Earth Eagle? And if we do get more Beyblade X releases inspired off of Beyblade Metal Fight, what are some bays that you guys would want to see that may not be popular enough to get a new X release? But thank you guys for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Have fun and bay away.